The following transmission is a conversation with Naiwal, fellow content creator focusing on comedy sketches, specifically around the Fallout series. Over the course of our conversation, we'll talk about Naiwal's history with comedy, storytelling, fatherhood, identity, and how these elements play out across the Fallout series, as well as the gaming fandom as a whole. I am follower Toshi, and this is the Atomcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow for future episodes and consider subscribing to our Patreon for early access to new uploads, to help keep episodes ad-free, and to improve the quality and frequency of transmission. As always, links to our Patreon, as well as guest socials, can be found in the description. And be sure to leave a comment recommending creators that you'd like to see as future guests. Without further ado, Naiwal. So, as Fallout's professional funny man, what is like a skit or like an idea for a comedy bit that you've had that you like can't really do anything with because the idea, like the punchline is there, but the idea itself is a bit too maybe esoteric, or you haven't figured out how to like land that plane yet. And and or what is something that you just haven't been able to? I guess more so like, is there an idea for a skit or a joke that you've thought of, but you just haven't figured out how to, like, you know, deliver it in in the most ideal way?
So there's several. A lot of the reason why I don't do a lot of ghoul skits is because if I were to do ghoul skits, I feel like I absolutely have to look the part of a ghoul, and I do not have the makeup chops to make it happen. But that might change when November 10th rolls around, because there's a Halloween store selling a ghoul mask. So that might switch up a little bit. Yeah. So I'm saying optimistic for that. There's Brotherhood of Steel skits I would love to do, but the process to render CGI armor over me and mix it with reality is also an ordeal to do and is very expensive to do. So can't do that too often.
Don't got the Fallout Prime budget, unfortunately.
No. I would love to have it. It would be incredible to have it. Listen, if I even had the budget of just like a Nuka break,
right?
My God. All right. But no, and like even stuff outside of just like Fallout. I mean, there's Elder Scrolls things that I wish I could do, but I do not have it. Really, the things that prevent me are means, like having the funds to be able to make such a thing happen, having the connections. Like there's one where I feel like a strong punchline for a joke requires someone to be set on fire. And I need a stuntman who is comfortable setting themselves on fire. Otherwise, that joke will not land the way I need it to. I'm like, yeah, you can use CGI fire, but no, I'm like, no, I want someone on fire.
Right. If you're using CGI fire, you're using it specifically like with the very noticeable like green screen around it. You're using it as part of the joke.
Yeah. It's like that's never been an issue, because you know I've done that in a couple of Elder Scrolls videos with like fake fire, but it's like, no, the joke requires practical effects, and I need it. I'm a big fan of practical, so it's like, yeah, I would choose practical effects every time. And then the last thing is finding the people to make some of these things happen. Like, I mean, I would love to do a Fallout skit of, oh, this is just hypothetical, whatever.
Right.
Soul Survivor versus all of the people in Nuka World. But I would need every faction represented in a very specific way, and that would mean I would have to go find people who could fill those roles. Other than, I mean, I don't have a problem copying pasting me and my friend Keyshawn over and over again. Mm-hmm. But like, nah. I need it to hit right.
Is Keyshawn the guy that's been in some of your more recent content?
Yeah, Keyshawn, that's my guy right there.
Nice. He's funny.
He's very wishy-washy with the internet. Because sometimes they don't say mean things about him. Other times they say mean things about him, and he's like, I'm never doing another video with you again. I'm like, I'm sorry, bro.
They hurt my feelings.
Yep. And then he'll come back around like a week or two later and go, when are we doing another skit? I'm like, I thought you were done.
Like, put me back in. I mean, like, I get it. The internet can be just ruthless sometimes. What was it? I made like a short the other day where I was talking about like, you know, like why does everything in Fallout still look like destroyed? And like everybody's living in tin shacks and stuff like that, you know, and I made an argument like, well, you know, like this, that, and the other thing, like it doesn't look that far off from like parts of the world where, you know, like infrastructure or like government strength is like weaker. And it's like, you know, like various reasons, but it was very much so like it sort of makes sense based on like, you know, the world that they live in and the sort of capabilities that they have as, you know, separated peoples. And then on YouTube, like some random person came in and was all like, oh, like you're just looking for like a reason to bash Bethesda. And I'm like, I don't think I am.
I don't think that's the case. It's just discussion, it's conversation.
It's just like come up with better ideas because this just seems lazy. I'm like, well, that was mean and unrelated to what I was talking about.
It's like, dang, man.
Yeah, the comment section is ruthless.
Yeah, no, I try not to engage with too many. That's not true. I engage with my community or my comment section a lot. Yeah, because honestly, I feel like I have a decent community. I like the people in my comments a lot of the time, and they're never saying something completely negative. So I'm like, all right, yeah, sure. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Whatever.
Yeah.
To add to your argument, real quick as a side note, it's not on the record, but I talked to one of the writers for the Winter of Atom 2D20 supplement for Fallout.
Nice.
And she seen the opportunity to explain some of the faults with like Fallout 4, like why is there barely any food? Why is there barely any crops? This, that, and the other. Why is the vault that you can essentially adopt and build in Fallout 4 completely empty? And she covered this in like Winter of Atom,
which is canon. Remember, lore enthusiast, that is canon.
It is canon.
The Necronomicon is canon. Isn't that fucking crazy?
It is kind of crazy. I do love it. The
gigapede.
But no, she said the winter, that nuclear winter is the reason why all the crops are basically non-existent, because as you're playing Fallout 4, they've just exited a nuclear winter. Because it takes place beforehand, and then that vault is actually the roaming vault, the traveling vault. That was her intention with it. I was like, oh wow, okay,
interesting.
So, yeah, add that to your argument next time if it ever comes up.
I've been meaning to like deep dive into the Modifius Fallout tabletop lore, because it's there's so much like wacky stuff in it. Like you said, there's the traveling vault. There's what was her name? The super tall ghoul, sister something. Sister, was it Pearl?
I hadn't actually made it that far into the campaign.
I
was actually playing it on Modifius. And we ended it, I think, before we got there. We were making our way to a carnival is when we ended it. So I was like, dang. So at some point, I actually have to read it because Dot asked me to reach out to her whenever I actually was ready to talk to her about it. So, hey, I might be able to come back with some more information for you. So
yeah, that'd be fantastic. Because, like, again, like the lore goes absolutely crazy. I freaked out about it a second ago. There's a gun that like turns people into zombies or whatever. There's the gigapede, a giant like 1,000-foot.
Oh shoot! Fighting that sucked. We had to fight it in the sewers. It was awful.
Yep. It's insane. It goes so crazy hard the entire campaign from front to back. And the way that it sort of like interacts with the lore is also crazy because it feels like it leans a lot more into the supernatural elements of the world. But is still, because like everything in the world of Fallout feels like it's very much like radiation is the source of like the supernatural stuff. But then you have things like, the Zatans or the Dunwich stuff, which sort of like pre-exist that. So there very clearly was like, a supernatural energy prior, but then like radiation just like 10x'd it, or maybe, the other way around. But it's
woke it up.
it's crazy how like weird the lore gets when you like, dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah, my favorite stuff in Fallout lore is the Eldritch stuff. I'm a big fan of horror. That is another thing. So, like, to kind of go back to like skit stuff, yeah, I like funny stuff, but I also have my Jordan Peele in me that wants to do horror stuff.
It's especially like the kind of horror that Jordan Peele can do, like that level of horror. It's crazy.
They always say the difference between comedy and horror is timing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I really want to get out there and at some point bite into the brick that is horror and try to have fun with it.
Would that take
So we'll
place
have
in
to
the
see.
form of like a long form thing, or sort of the like, like one sentence horror story sort of concept? I can't remember what the name of the channel was, but I remember watching a channel a while ago that sort of did like 1 minute horror shows, or like, 1 minute horror videos. There was, what was it? I can't remember. I can't very vividly remember it, but the like cerebral memory was like, there was like a kid in like a spotlight and he's like playing with like a jack in the box or whatever. And then you see something like slowly start to creep out of the shadows behind him. And then like it like lingers on that for maybe like 5 seconds with this thing like slowly creeping out of the darkness. And then like
Freaking
that's
out.
the entire video. Is it, are you, is
See.
it like that? Do you want to do like shorter
Oh
form
no,
stuff?
I would go in depth with it. I'd be like, okay, short film in the sense of like, oh, here's a 10-minute short that you can find on YouTube, or here's a 15, 30, whatever. Like I had an idea for the King in Yellow a while back, and it just purely based on there's like these lines from the play for the King in Yellow that says, "Sir, we have removed our mask. Now you must remove yours." And then the King in Yellow goes, "I wear no mask." What? No mask? No mask? And then it just ends right there.
Mhm.
And I had a whole concept based on that alone. And it was going to follow like through text messages, like you're kind of reading through. This lady is nervously typing away, saying, "Are you here yet? What the hell? None of this makes sense. Tell me whenever you get here." And then eventually this other person shows up and they go, "Well, how is he sending us messages? It doesn't make any sense. He shouldn't be able to send us messages." And then they go back and they're like, "Shh." And like, as you kind of go through, you find out like someone went missing recently. And then they go through this abandoned building and they find like a pool of blood, but there's no body there with the pool of blood. Now, this place is supposed to be old, decrepit, so they're wearing like respirators because, mold poisoning and shit.
Mhm.
And they're like freaking out, like the body's gone. And then they get a message on their phone saying, like, "Why did you leave me? I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you finally made it." And then they turn around and they see someone wearing a respirator mask and it's all bloodied up. And they know it's this person. And the idea is that you finally realize, oh, they killed this person, thought they were dead. And then they were getting messages from this person the whole time. And then that's where it's like, "Hey, we're taking off our mask. Is that really you? Take off your mask." It's like, "Oh, I'm not wearing a mask. This is just my now mutilated face because of the shit you did to me."
Nice. That's
Yeah.
good.
So Yeah,
Right?
I have a huge passion for horror, and it's so I was like, it's kind of funny how I landed in the comedy spectrum because I feel like I did a lot more horror stuff before I ever did comedy.
Well, I mean, it's like you said, the only difference between the two is timing. That like
Hmm.
what is it like? Some of like the craziest people, or like the people who write like the craziest horror stories are usually like the most like chill, like like Jordan Peele,
Junji Ito.
right? Junji Ito, Rob Zombie, fucking who's the guy that wrote Jigsaw or like the Saw franchise?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
who you're
yeah.
talking about.
Was it
Yeah,
Eli Roth? I think it was Eli Roth. Eli Roth is another one, but like, yeah,
yeah.
it's just intent. And I think when it comes to the like story aspect, like crafting a story, it's the same thing for horror and comedy. It's just that in
Mhm.
horror, the punchline isn't funny.
The punchline is supposed to be a gut punch.
Right. It's a different kind of punch. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's wild how story format can works. Can
Mhm.
works very good. Uh, um, when to get back on your skits and your comedy and stuff, what sort of like got you into doing like skits and short form stuff like that? It sounds like like before that you were leaning into maybe like doing more stuff like horror focused. Was that like the prelude into that, or was there something more so that led you in that direction of comedy, where it sort of like superseded your involvement with horror content?
What's so funny about that is, like I said earlier, was I have YouTube accounts that span all the way since like I was 11 years old, right?
Mhm.
And I was always doing comedy, like, oh, here's a machinima from Halo, and I'm just saying silly things in it, or like that comedy aspect has always been there. And the skit, it's I feel like it's a funny story because I was writing um, a TTRPG. I was making my own system and
Nice.
everything. And I was using my TikTok originally to promote the system and find people who were interested in it. Um, and I wasn't finding a lot of success. And I don't know what happened. I was just a big fan of horror. And I was playing a horror TTRPG. I think I with the group we were playing Call of Cthulhu and we were playing Vampire the Masquerade and then I one day I go to work and I was just like, oh, we're currently all getting in trouble for getting on our phones right now.
Mhm.
And I used the Thieves Guild shadow marks to tell people where it was safe at like blind spots from the cameras to get on their phone. And then and I recorded it and the video blew up. And then I just started doing I was like, "Oh, what's Skyrim NPC?" So I really want to say like the kid in me like immediately activated. That 11-year-old version of Naiwal was just like, "Oh, this is that stuff we've been working for, buddy. Override, override. Any personality traits you have are gone.
They
Here's
don't
the
matter.
11 Yeah, here's the 11-year-old version of yourself and it is taking the helm of this." Um like the skit stuff when it comes to writing, it was like it was never there's never been a structure. It's always been an idea, and then I go, I'm going to do this idea, and it just happens. I could not tell you the process. The process doesn't make sense to me, which is a weird thing to say, but it's kind of like I have my props, I have my costume. I'm gonna pace around till I have an idea of something funny, or if I played the game the night before, there's something funny, and then we're just gonna go for it. And I think at the time, whenever I started doing the skits, um, man, I think I was playing Fallout 4. You know, I think that's probably what tied it in. Skyrim was what I was known for first, and then I started doing Fallout skits, and then somehow Fallout superseded Elder Scrolls so quickly. I was like, oh, I'm now the Fallout guy, and now we make Fallout skits.
It is weird how sort of like it, because like I think objectively Elder Scrolls is the more like popular franchise, and yet for some reason whenever like Fallout stuff happens, it's like that scene from Toy Story where Andy just like, I don't want to play with you anymore. And we just drop Elder Scrolls, and it's like
Sad.
it's like, you know, it's always in the background there, but then it's just like, ooh, Fallout, fucking, you know. I think it's probably the guns. You know what? I think I answered my own question.
Yeah.
It's probably just big guns. That's probably what the appeal is.
People also have a strong appeal for the retro. You know,
That is true.
I think about like Mrs. Fallout. I know a lot of people who watch her stuff have no idea what Fallout is, but they just love the aesthetics. And I was like, that is interesting.
It is a clean aesthetic. Like when you boil it all down, it's especially the juxtaposition between, like, you know, the sort of like 1950s retro futuristic glitz and glamour of the old world contrasting against just like the complete destruction of, you know, the apocalyptic wasteland, which like I think that sort of contrast is always something that's sort of like present in most post-apocalyptic settings, but it's never as like sharp and like constant as it is in Fallout.
Yeah, even if you look at like Last of Us, like, you know, that's post-apocalyptic, and this is, I think, San Francisco or Horizon or something like that, but nothing stands out. But whenever think of Fallout 3 environment, and you'd be like, oh, the metros, Nuka-Cola, I think about the Polinsky shelters. You know, it's just like there's a lot of stuff that the environment has a lot of character to it alone, you know. So
I think that's always been sort of one of Fallout's stronger points, or stronger aspects, is just like how much the world design more so leans into like its location, right? Because like in Last of Us, I think we travel to, if I remember correctly, we travel across multiple different like cities and states. Maybe I think we travel intercontinental, or not intercontinental. That'd be wild. Intercontinental. I gotta save Joel. Flying to China.
yeah.
So like it, you know, you don't ever in The Last of Us anyway, which, you know, admittedly is more about like the story. Like
It's more about the story.
Yeah. But you're going through different locations, and like, you know, they stand out a little bit, but you don't really like exist in them for very long. With Fallout, you're in one singular location, and because it's, you know, a full open world / sandbox game, you're going to be spending a lot more time in this one region of the country. And because, you know, part of it is, you know, exploration and, you know, resource gathering and stuff like that, it behooves the people designing the games to really emphasize on the location itself, especially when there's, you know, when they do narrative things with it. What was it? Wasteland, the progenitor series to Fallout in a sense, kind of does it, but that series is more so interested in exploring like concepts and ideas existing in the post-apocalyptic setting, not so much this sort of like compare and contrast that Fallout has kind of always done between the old world and the post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah, I feel like Fallout treats the environment as a character. period. And that goes across like from Fallout 1 all the way over to Fallout 76, man. So, which I think, I feel like any good tip for writing is if you're building a world, you got to remember the world is a character as well. If that is not your main focus, then might as well just keep your story confined in a building, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I think that might be one of the reasons why a lot of people think that Starfield like didn't really meet up to the expectations, because while there were like key areas, like, you know, fucking Neon, Sidonia, you know, the main places.
New Atlantis.
Yeah, New Atlantis, definitely New Atlantis. Like those areas like kind of kept to the same sort of like concept that that Bethesda has stuck to with not Starfield, with Fallout and the Elder Scrolls. But then you have just all those other locations where, like, you know, the other planets being like essentially desolate rock is.
So, yeah, we didn't know what to do with this, so here it is.
Like it's
more
like, realistic, but then it just becomes sort of like a quantity over quality argument, and it's like,
yeah,
most Bethesda fans are usually more used to the quality aspect as opposed to the quantity. But then there's a whole argument in like, oh, like for just how much space there is in, and I'm talking like physical space, like on the planet, like surface map, for how much physical space there is in Starfield, and how, from what I've heard, accessible it is for like modders and stuff to make stuff in that game. It's likely that, you know, that was more so their focus, basically making a massive blank canvas for anyone and everyone to draw on.
For modders.
Yeah.
I felt like that was such a crutch decision, though. And it was like that.
Yeah.
I really wish they would have developed Mars way more. Way more. That was our bastion of hope, apparently, for Earth, right? It was like, hey, we got to get away from Earth. It's about to die. Let's get over to Mars. Let's do something there. And the fact that Mars is only just one little underground city sucks. Dude, I feel like Mars should be Earth too, essentially, right? Like there should be tons of people on Mars. But
like, you know, maybe Mars doesn't have the correct like atmosphere and everything to be, you know, New Atlantis, but like it should be a little bit more than just one mining town.
Like you could have developed a whole culture on Mars, right? Like, oh, these are where the gritty people live. This is where your Wild West setting should be. Is at Mars. It's dusty. It's dirty. It's like, there's so much that could have happened with Mars, but they didn't do that. And then, the Freestar Collective. I was like, dude. Also, I don't know. I think the Rangers was a lost cause, and you know all that. As UC was a lost cause, all that stuff stinked because it was like so surface level. It lacked any kind of gray area, any moral gray area. I don't know why we were afraid of moral gray areas. Give us some choices. Let me fuck up. Let me do something weird. Let me do something messed up. And then, like, you join the Crimson Raiders. Or is that Borderlands? That might be Borderlands.
Oh,
the Crimson Fleet.
Yeah, the Crimson Fleet. Yeah.
My bad. Borderlands did first.
Right.
Anyway, you join the Crimson Fleet, and like to me, that was the most engaging like side quest line that they had, because you did have a choice. Were you going to help the UC and turn on the fleet, or were you going to fully commit to being a pirate? And naturally, I fully commit to being a pirate. All those people you help along the way actually pull up in that final big battle. And I was like, wow, this is great. And then like even the NPCs, your companions, were pissed at you for helping them. Like, who cares? This was awesome. But like, you don't even have a choice with the UC to go, hey, I'm going to expose the fact that these heat worms are all dormant alien death claws waiting to happen and potentially push us over into a war again. Or I was like, that never happens. I'm like, come on, man. I know we can't be leaders of these groups, but let us have some kind of influence. You're making us do some really cool stuff, but I don't know.
I feel like Starfield unfortunately fell more victim to the same problem that Fallout 4 had, to where there was a lot of stuff that had like some really interesting potential, but Bethesda just wasn't able to, get all those horses across the finish line in time, or they just, for whatever reason, decided not to explore them. Because like when you think back to Fallout 4, and I don't know if you saw this, but there's a mod that's going to be coming out soon. Where is it? It's in my stuff here somewhere. Self promo, there it is. It's called Fallout 4 Mind Games. It's effectively exploring because you fucking go and you fucking dig around in Kellogg's brain, get connected and stuff, and you have to attach his brain basically to Nick Valentine, and then like as you're about to leave the memory den, there's that bit where Kellogg speaks to you through Nick Valentine, and then that's never followed up on ever, despite that's probably one of the most interesting things that they did in that story.
The Johnny Silverhand situation.
Yeah, seriously. But now this mod, and I'm not trying to like shell for it or anything, but this mod is basically like trying to
shill.
Yeah, shill. Let me get the name correct here. It's, oh come on, internet, stop being slow and stupid and dumb. You make me look silly. It's being made by Oscar N1N7. He's got a YouTube channel, and I would imagine a page on Nexus. But he put a trailer, a little teaser 2 weeks ago, and the teaser looks like whoa. It's really simple, really straightforward. Not a whole lot happens, but again, to the point, it's another example of like a super interesting concept getting teed up and then just never hit, unfortunately. And again, with Fallout 4 and then maybe Starfield. I don't know how much of Starfield was developed while they were still under ZeniMax, but like, maybe it was a fact that like, hey, they just wouldn't let them have enough time to, explore these things. Maybe we'll see something a little bit better with Elder Scrolls 6 or, Fallout 5, where they are able to like capitalize on all of those ideas. But I mean, like who knows really? When it comes to Fallout 4, I guess really any of the Bethesda Fallouts, to get onto like a more lore focused, what's one of the aspects of like, the storytelling or the lore that Bethesda's Fallouts put forward, but either hasn't fully explored yet, or I guess more so like that. What's a dangling thread that you're so desperate to pull?
Dangling thread so desperate to pull. Is that, it's strictly game speaking, right? Not talking about TV show included.
I mean, you could include the TV show because that is also canon.
That is also canon.
The Winter of Adam, the tabletop game, the TV show. There's probably another thing that I can't remember that's also canon, but like, yeah, it's all canon.
I'm really curious what the hell is up with the Enclave. Like, why? Mm-hmm. What is going on? Why are they around? I could have sworn we blew them the fuck up. They should not be in mass numbers like that, but they will answer, I'm sure.
That's probably... I can't imagine that the Enclave isn't going to show in Fallout Prime, because like there was that like one scene where everybody was all like, oh, like this is definitely the Enclave. This is definitely Enclave. But it's not really like proven because Wilzig's all like
I
tinkering.
think it was just like that. Yeah, I think it was just like the uniforms, how uniform they were. That had me thinking
like
they were
they
Enclave.
kind of seem like Enclave, but then like the Wilzig had that the cold fusion device, and I can't remember her name because I'm awful with names.
Lucy?
No, the lady that broke into the vault.
Oh yeah, I don't know who that
character.
Killmonger?
Yeah, Killmonger. Yeah. Fuck. What was her name? I can't remember. But the lady that broke into the vault and kidnapped her dad. She said that the technology was stolen from her company pre-war, and it was taken by Vault Tech, and they made it proprietary. So that insinuates that the only people who could have made that technology is Vault Tech. And since we know that Vault Tech is still around, does that mean that the group that Wilzig was a part of was Vault Tech? But then at the same time, the Brotherhood said that they were... I forget the specific wording he used, because the wording might be very key. But he basically said that Wilzig was a member of the Enclave. So that kind of opens up like, did the Enclave get the technology? Does the Enclave actually work for Vault Tech? Does Vault Tech work for the, it's a whole thing. Like, how does all this connect? And I think to your point, like, yeah, there is still a lot we don't know about the Enclave's operation and their like full scope.
Yeah. And I don't know. I'm trying to think now with games though. Man, I feel like the children of Adam have gotten a lot bigger, right?
Yeah.
And it's even hinted at with the nuclear winter or the winter of Adam. It's just like that is such a good like plot line there. I'd love to see just like, oh, hey, I'm trying to think of a very culty place. Probably Utah.
I was going to say Salem, Massachusetts, which I guess technically they already covered in Fallout. But then you said Utah. I'm like, oh yeah, it's got to be Utah.
It's got to be Utah, dude. You know, like, oh, look at all these Mormon children of Adam. Oh, this is crazy. You know, like whatever.
Oh my God.
I want to see, I love the culty shit whenever Fallout leans into the culty shit. Because why wouldn't you have radicalized people who worship a thing? Give us someone who like worships robots. Like I don't care. Give us something like that. But like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot they could do with the children of Adam there as well. And then lastly, if we're confirming things and essentially confirming endings with the Fallout TV show, because we're gonna get a confirmed ending. I feel like we have to for New Vegas. And it's hinted at that the Brotherhood of Steel had to have been the canon ending for Fallout 4 because that blimp is floating and navigating around. But part of me wants to believe in my own headspace. And as a father, strictly speaking, as a father, you could not convince me to betray my only source of home or anything grasping me to my reality, because that is a traumatic experience. The bombs have dropped, your significant other just got shot, and your kid got kidnapped. Odds are you're going to be very single-minded, and you're going to go through the wasteland hunting after your kid.
You think Nate's going to show up?
I think the Institute is... I want to believe the Institute was the canon ending. I want to believe it.
Yeah.
Only because a good parent, whether or not you like it or it's just unconditional love is a tragic thing, and it makes for a tragic character. You know? And it's like, yeah, my son did call me an experiment, but that is my kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like he's an 80-year-old man, and sometimes you got to feel like I've got to overcompensate for the years I wasn't there. he's asking me to do this one thing. Fuck it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, but then he did say that
So-
shit about your wife, though.
Yeah, he did say that shit about your wife, but at the same time, man, if I look at my little baby kid right now, 1 year old, which is the age Sean was supposed to have been whenever he got kidnapped, right? A year old.
Yep.
I look at him now. If he said, "Oh yeah, she was a necessary casualty," I would be like, "Fuck, man, your mom would be mad at me if I didn't take care of you."
Right. Yeah.
Period. It's like I could yell at you and be mad at you, but there's no way your mom would forgive me if I turn my back on you. So I'm going to do everything I can to make you see reason. And I could see him dedicating his life to trying to get father to see reason. And then obviously father's on his deathbed and he's like, okay, I wasn't able to raise father, but perhaps I can raise the institute.
Yeah. And
perhaps I can raise some kind of fragment of him.
And the synth kid that he left you.
Yep, and the synth kid. Fuck it. You know, if you want him to be old enough to be in his old house, you want to keep the institute around because he's going to need upgrades. Mm-hmm. Synths don't age.
Nope. So, like to touch on that, because I think you have a really interesting perspective on the story of Fallout 4 as a parent. I can't remember what video specifically it was, but if I remember correctly, Austin Horrigan from Shoddycast gave a brief introspective on the plot of Fallout from his point of view as also a father. Was it? I think it was most likely Austin. For the sake of argument, it was Austin. If Austin doesn't have a kid, don't at me. But I think that that's a really interesting perspective because not everybody has children, so the story is a bit more impactful than most. To touch on that in a second, I want to briefly touch on the canon endings in Fallout Prime. I'm thinking that they for New Vegas specifically, because I'm still hesitant to say or to give an opinion on what the existence of the Pridwin in Fallout Prime actually means.
Right?
Because it's a very it could be like a ship of Odysseus or a ship of Theseus thing, right? To where it's like you fix it up again. It's got the same name. Is it the same ship? Is it a different ship? This could be a new ship. If we know they can make one, they can definitely make another.
C2 battling in the trailer.
Yeah. I think they even crashed into each other at one point. Which it was funny because when the trailer for season 2 popped up, I saw some comments that said they're making Fallout Tactics canon before something else, because in Tactics,
Brotherhood of Steel.
Yep, one of the big things that happen is Brotherhood of Steel blimps crashing in the Great Divide. So if that is in fact what they're getting at here, or maybe pseudo confirming, that'd be wild as hell. But as far as a canon ending to New Vegas, I don't think that they're going to actually confirm a canon ending. I think they're going to subtly imply that it was an NCR victory. But enough time has happened, and especially since what was it, 5 years later, Vault-Tec nuked Vegas anyway, so doesn't really matter. Which I get why some people are pissed about that. They're just none of this really mattered in the long term. But it's that's. If they can figure out how to write it in a way to where it had a point, the second battle of Hoover Dam and stuff, it had a point in the sense that, you know, the capturing of the city was a big deal. And then the next thing happened. Because, like, you know, it's not like the NCR or the Legion or whatever. We're just going to like control Vegas until the end of time. Like something else was eventually going to happen, and we know something else was eventually going to happen because they really hyped up the tunnelers at the end of this. At the end of the last DLC. So on that front, that's more so where my headspace is, to where like I don't think they're going to confirm a canon ending, but I think they're going to maybe like hint at a canon ending.
Yeah, no, and see my hangups. There's so much evidence that leads to. So I'm on the fence either between a Legion ending or a Mr. House ending. The reason why I think Legion is only because
they're still around.
They're still around. And even more so, I think they're further west. I think they're not near New Vegas exactly, because why would Lucy have to go any further than New Vegas?
It does make sense, yeah.
So, because she's going after Hank. We know he's supposed to be in New Vegas. So, yeah, I think she's probably going to run into them either episode 1 or episode 2.
Well, I guess
coming from California.
I guess if like regardless of a Legion victory or not, I guess if Vault-Tec did, you know, and it's obvious like they didn't drop one on the strip because, you know, the strip is still there. But like,
and Hank makes it very clear that wherever Mr. House is, very important.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have blown that up.
Exactly. But like something bad happened, and whoever held the city
terrible happened.
Lost it. But so like from a Legion perspective, it then becomes more like, hey, we can't take Vegas. Vegas is a lost cause. Let's keep heading west because our real enemy is the NCR.
Yeah, and then that's where I'm thinking, like, you know, the Legion, what reason would they have to keep Vegas? Like, they make it very clear, I think, because you can even ask Caesar, hey, what will you do once you've won the dam? We will enslave their women, you know, whatever, and then kill the weak and then make everyone else a soldier and then move on.
Yeah.
Like, they make it very clear. There's no reason to keep Vegas. This place is a den. You know, everyone's either a jet junkie or whatever, what have you. I don't know if the Kings, now we do see Kings as ghouls in the trailer, and I can't see the Legion letting the Kings live. So I'm just like, I don't know what to make of that. I have no clue what to make of that.
And I think from a story perspective, that is maybe probably deliberate because, like, you know, it's like leaving enough bits and pieces to allow for story crafting to take place and different headcanons to take place, and to constantly like create this perpetual conversation around like, oh, this means this, or oh, that means that, or this, you know, is a little bit more important than that. And just to like keep conversation going, because I feel like it's definitely frustrating to not have like a definitive answer, especially since this is like one of the few video game franchises that has such a detailed actual timeline of events. But at the same time, it feels like there's some stuff in Fallout that just has to sort of be a little bit like mythologized, or like things of legends, or, you know, like larger than life, right? Because like we play as one in New Vegas. We play as the courier,
a legend.
Who goes on this epic, massive, like history defining quest. And you know, we play as one in Fallout 3, the bringer of fresh water. We play
real quick while we're on the topic. It came up in chat, and I explained. I said Lone Wanderer absolutely could stand their ground against Courier 6, and they did not believe me. And I'm like, no, they absolutely could. Are you kidding me? Yeah. What are we talking about?
the power scale. See, now we're on a different conversation, because I wanted to do that and then jump onto Fallout 4. But now we're going to talk about Fallout power scaling. it's so I remember running into a TikTok that was like, you know, ranking the ranking the protagonist in terms of like how strong they are. And interestingly enough to me, I can't remember what the exact order was, but they ranked the Pioneer in Fallout 76 pretty high up there. Like I think they had the Chosen One from Fallout 2 as number 1, which I feel like a lot of people make that argument because he took down Frank Horrigan. But then it's like even the developers and the writers said like, well, the only reason Frank Horrigan died is because the game had to have an ending. So that kind of really doesn't do the Chosen One a lot of justice. But then the interesting thing with this video was they made the events that happen in Fallout 76 sort of a little bit, maybe not intentionally, sound like they were specifically done by one person, which implies that one person took down the Scorch Beast Queen, Earl Williams, that ultrasite mole, the fucking crazy doctor who I can't remember the name of that turned himself into a super mutant, you know, all these like really massive things, when it's like, that's not really what happened, because even in the story canonically, multiple people leave the vault at the same time. So it's implied that it was, you know, a group effort and stuff. But to get back onto the like Courier versus Nate thing, which somehow continues to perpetually be bounced back and forth in the Fallout community, despite the fact that it is a very clearly one-sided fight. Because like you think of like the big achievements that the Courier achieves as far as like combat, right?
Yeah.
They were at the second battle of Hoover Dam.
Yep.
Maybe they fought Ulysses. And when I see
they survived the divide,
yeah,
which to be fair,
they did do that,
good.
which is a test of endurance. I won't lie. And you know, that definitely works in their favor. But then like at the same time, I think a lot of people really underestimate the fact that Nate is a pre-war United States veteran. He has more combat training than almost, I'm gonna say mostly everybody else, because there are ghouls who are also pre-war, like the ghoul who has also pre-war military training, and then 200 years of wasteland survival and combat training on top of that. So the ghoul versus like, you know, Nate or the Courier might be a little bit more of an interesting conversation. But the Courier doesn't have as much training, canonical training, because while, you know, he can, or they can accomplish some amazing feats of warfare, they're not really canonically at the same level. Like Nate has pre-war military training and firearms experience. The Courier got shot twice.
let me posit some info here. So we're saying Nate. We also got to take Nora, right? We don't know if we get Nate or Nora canonically.
Correct.
But they both essentially do the same thing.
Yeah.
Regardless of what came beforehand, they both have to do the same thing. Now, Courier 6, to his credit, his or her credit, they can operate without a brain.
Yes. That is interesting.
Frightening as fuck.
Yeah, that has a lot of,
to be fair,
that has a lot of implications. They gotta have something. They must have put something in there.
There's a little beacon, right?
Yeah.
So headshots could be considered null and void.
Yeah.
Provided that they don't hit the right thing inside their brain. I think also the only character that can get augments
That is true. I keep forgetting about the augmentations. That does
Those
stack in their favor a
augmentations are
little bit.
crazy.
Yeah.
Those are insane. What do you mean you got a probability calculator in you that makes you luckier? What the fuck does that mean?
What do you
like, that doesn't make
you have
sense.
this? What do you mean you have like lizard skin that heals you? What do you mean?
See, because there's of course there's always the story implications how you can look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I always like looking at it from the mechanical standpoint. That's exactly how I always do the Dragonborn versus Soul Survivor bit, because people always kill me. Soul Survivor could take Dragonborn. Bats can blah blah. I'm like, Dragonborn can literally slow down time.
Yeah. Become
ethereal, become invisible, blah 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 blah. I said, unfortunately, Soul Survivor would probably get speed blitz.
Yeah.
Do not. Fantasy and sci-fi do not merge well together for that kind of combat.
Yeah.
Let's not even try to do that.
Magic is always going to slime guns. Like,
dude, it kills me. They go, a 50 cal could pierce through his armor. I'm like, you talking about the same armor that can withstand dragon bites? We're talking teeth as big as my forearm with at least 20 tons of pressure behind it? I don't think that matters.
Not
but
happening.
Like, yeah.
The math ain't mathin'.
The math ain't math, but no, like mechanically speaking, Courier 6 has some crazy buffs.
Yes,
but there is a level cap to Courier 6. Soul Survivor, there is no level cap, and can also get some insane drug buffs. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's hard to say.
It does become more of a conversation, because it's interesting that you phrase it that way, because then it becomes more of a conversation again, just like we talked about this before we actually started recording, but we were bonding over the monumental trauma of having to be constantly asked as Fallout creators, what's your favorite Fallout game?
God damn it, dude.
And the angle that I came at it from, which I've talked about, I'm pretty sure I've talked about multiple times on the podcast, but then I've also talked about on, in like live streams and stuff, is that I like to be a little bit of a contrarian, but also like to be specific and ask, when you ask that question, what do you mean? Are you talking about which game has the best story? Or are you talking about which game has the best game? Because if it's story, it's New Vegas. If it's game, it's Fallout 4. And
yeah, dude.
I think that conversation about like, the whole power scaling thing is interesting, because it's that same thing. Are you talking about the mechanics of the game, or are you talking about like the lore, what canonically happens? Because canonically, I don't know if the Courier ever does get augmentations, but canonically they do survive a solo trip through the Divide, which is crazy. Yeah. So like, yeah, it does shape the conversation around which one you're talking about, because they both sort of have much bigger implications.
See, and I think with canonically speaking, with Soul Survivor, I think it's fair to say that Miniman probably, very most likely, is canon. That means he built a whole militia, unified the Commonwealth under it. Like, that guy is Nate or Nora. That alone, that's a powerful individual.
Yeah, that's
right there.
That's crazy organizational skills.
Like, insane organizational skills. And to be that organized, that means like you have contingency plans, dude. Yeah. Like, it's like, God dang.
Especially in that case specifically, you canonically take down a Mirelurk queen. And those things are big.
They're huge.
They're scary. They're strong too.
That also means canonically navigating the glowing sea.
Yep. Which has its own series of fucking bullshit in it.
Especially if we're taking in what happened with Winter of Adam. But we're not going there.
Yeah. Yeah. Which if the Soul Survivor had been around for the Winter of Adam and made it through all that, it'd be a done deal.
That would be insane.
What do you
That would be
mean?
insane.
You took on a 1,000-foot long or however massive
Eldritch
the gigapede was.
Beast.
What do you mean? Frank who?
Glee.
Not even a part of the conversation anymore.
That's so funny, man.
But yeah, that
So
is.
I don't know, man. And to also Lone Wanderer's credit to blow up the Enclave.
The Lone Wanderer does some. The Lone Wanderer actually survives dying by radiation poisoning.
Remarkable. What a remarkable individual.
That's crazy. And then solos an entire Enclave fortification twice.
Terry.
Fucking Raven Rock. Terry. Raven Rock and Adams Air Force Base. And then goes to fucking space, bro.
Yeah. That actually did happen.
Yeah.
That actually is a canon thing that happened.
That was canon.
Huh.
And probably
And learned a little Japanese. Probably the only person up in the comment or in the US wasteland who knows Japanese.
Yeah. A little bit. He learned a little bit of it.
Just a little bit.
And
what a concept.
And then fucking potentially took on an entire slave nation in the pit. What?
That's kind of crazy.
It's crazy. Fallout 3 doesn't get enough love. It doesn't. It's a great game.
You know what? Hey, and in case we pissed off anyone, you know what? Here's one thing that will piss you off, and there's nothing you can do about it. By lore and canon alone, the Starborn from Starfield is the strongest character across Bethesda multiverses.
Yep.
Period.
Yep. Which
it's just terrifying.
It's crazy some of the shit that you can do with that fucking space magic shit.
To be stronger than sheer Gorath is frightening.
Yeah.
Because what do you mean? If you got to fight me, you got to fight my doppelganger, or I could just summon a version of you to fight yourself, or XYZ. It's just like, no. Starborn is way overpowered.
Yeah.
In terms of lore, my
space.
God. Uh-huh. Like, hey, you know that thing you need to breathe? Not anymore. Well, I'm undead. Okay, well, have the full concentrated power of the sun.
Yeah. I hope, and not like, that they make the next game like, fucking Insano style, like Elden Ring levels of like huge combat, but like if they do make a second Starfield, which for the record I really hope that they do, because I feel like there's a lot of really interesting ideas that they could explore, both from a narrative standpoint as well as a technical standpoint, that they just need to fucking follow through on. It would be crazy if we like played as either a continuation of our original character. Maybe they go through like a Saints Row 3, like, oh, you were in a bad accident. Does this look like you? Did we put all the pieces back together? And then you can, maybe like change it up a little bit, and then like, oh, you don't remember anything, this, that, or the other thing. And then we can just go like crazy with it. And I think this would actually probably be a little bit more interesting. We play as, because it's sort of partially implied that the people, or that the Starborn that we fight throughout the game that are coming to, get rid of us, are either alternate versions of the other two Starborn that are sort of like our opposites in this, big conflict, or are alternate versions of ourselves. And I think it would be really interesting if for like a second game, we played as one of those alternate versions. And then by the end, we had to take on like original us or something like that. Or like another alternate version of us, but like, the bad version.
Let's see. That's fun to me.
Right. But just like really ramp up that just like we're gonna go crazy with it. Like now we got like we're actually throwing suns at people.
We're flying in space without a ship now.
Right? There's just so much potential. We're just Dragon Ball Z flying from one planet to another.
Bethesda just needs to make a Dragon Ball Z game now. Screw it.
Right? Like that's it. Bethesda, no more Elder Scrolls. They cancel halfway through Fallout 5. Fucking crumple up the one page, Kobe it into the trash, and then like boom. 3 years from now, open world, open universe Dragon Ball RPG. You can fly from planet to planet, foot on ground
like
to foot on ground.
You want. No loading screens. That's what you wanted, right?
Yeah, no loading screens ever. Just constant Dragon Ball. It's not. They don't even name it something else. They just call it Dragon Ball. They don't ask. They just do it.
It's like, oh. There's no Goku. Correct.
To get back to Fallout and to get back to Fallout 4, we talked a little bit of it. We touched on it, and then we hinted at getting into it before we had to talk about power scaling,
yes.
which is always fun. But the story of Fallout 4, specifically the main story of a parent, going on an adventure. Somehow through all odds, through all obstacles, avoiding the overwhelming call to fuck off and go plant potatoes, and instead choosing to go and find their lost child. That story specifically, well, one, it's sort of like the inverse of what we saw in Fallout 3. Instead of finding our dad, we're finding our son. As from a parent's perspective, well, one, the story, I feel like the story itself is compelling, but it's probably not one that hits as much with probably most gamers, because definitely most
being
gamers
smart and not trying to have kids in a horrible economic recession,
right? Yeah, exactly. But obviously most gamers have families, so like they can empathize. But I feel like the exact sort of scenario is different, or like hits different, if you don't have kids of your own. So as somebody who has children, both from another from a partner, as well as like bloodborne children.
Oh yeah.
What do you make of the storyline? What is the story of Fallout 4 from your perspective?
So, to preface, my daily routine as a dad is solely dependent on the kids that I have to take care of. And so much of my own personal identity, as much as, there's Naiwal online or Ian at work, even while I'm Naiwal or while I'm Ian, the dad is always present. That is a part of me that just cannot be separate from those two environments. Even while I'm making a skit, the reason why I'm doing the skits is because, well, one, I'd love to be able to do it full time, take care of my kids. So by the time they're old enough to go do what they want to go do, there's money in the bank to help fund them, to help pursue their own, dreams or whatever. And then secondly is they get to see who their dad is being goofy, because I'm not always going to be around. It's like while I'm making skits, yeah, people are laughing about it. There's an aspect that my kids can still refer to for whenever I do shuffle off the mortal coil, and that's something that they could pass along to their kids if they're so inclined to do.
Hey kids, this was your grandfather. He was mostly cringe.
He was mostly cringe.
He
had a lot of cool stuff though.
Yeah.
But I think about that, and with that soul drive that, how crappy I could feel about myself or what I think about myself, my kid has her own thoughts of me. And I mean, my daughter has said, "You're my hero, Dad." Like that kind of thing right there is just like, oh dang, man. She doesn't see the screw up. She doesn't see the mess up. And this is someone I will never abandon. This is someone I will fight hell and back for, and willing to put myself through some of the worst situations to get my kid, or to keep my kid, or to protect my kid. And with that, and taking that into the story with Fallout 4, that is a certain kind of preface that you lack in the game. You don't see your character have to wake up and take care of the baby late at night. You don't see the laying in the same bed and watching that baby drink a bottle and just wonder what that person's going to be like growing up. Like, none of that is implied with your character. You're just thrown into it. So from a story perspective, that stuff has happened for the character that you choose to play as, Nate or Nora, and that is your child. That is your hell and back. And added on top of it, your significant other has been killed for what you think was only a couple days ago, or only a couple months ago. And then you find out maybe it was 10 years ago. But that doesn't change the fact that to you it felt like yesterday. It doesn't change that. And to find out that your kid is actually much older than 10, it would be devastating. It would be a moment of, those were 80 plus years that I didn't get to show you about who I was, or tell you about who your mother was. Those are years that I was supposed to teach you how to ride a bike, or teach you how to cook your own meals, or I was supposed to be taking you to school. You hold on to, in the back of your mind, it's the what ifs and what I failed at as a parent. Like, that would kick you. That, for me, that would kick me, I feel like. And even the moment I would hear my kid go, "Oh, it was a necessary casualty for something bigger, something greater, the Institute." And it'd be like, okay, well, I mean, if you believe that, that's what you believe. But you brought me out. And he calls it an experiment. An experiment, for a dad, I feel like, is just another word for curious, because I didn't know my own father growing up for 20 years. And then I just sent a Hail Mary message out and told my mom, "Hey, I'd like to try to interact with this guy," because I was curious, and meeting my dad was very, very impactful for me personally. And, as cold and callous as father says it, he's 89 years old. He's made his own thoughts, and he's his own person. Any kind of change you could have done, he's too old for that now. But what held on in the back of his head, as much as he wants to call it an experiment, is curiosity. What was my dad like? What was my mom like? And okay, I'm gonna wake him up, and if he gives a shit, he'll find me. Which is messed up, but it's kind of how I felt about my own dad. It was like, if he cares, he'll reach out and he'll do whatever he can to come get me. And he did. Yeah, I mean, he traveled out of state to come pick me up. It was like, he wanted me to come live with him. And it's just like a thing that it's a love that is hard to explain. It's almost immeasurable to explain. And of course, there's shitty parents, and I like to believe that even with the shittiest of parents, that down to their very bottom core is they have love for their kid. And then that's why you exactly have parents who can't admit their own faults, and why they can't admit how they screwed up. And the same way that we as kids, we can say some awful things to our parents, but surprisingly, they'll still show up for you. Sometimes. Unfortunately, not everyone has that kind of connection with their parents or whatever, but at risk of being that parent. I feel like Nate or Nora were like, I'm going to show up no matter what. Piper can suck it. The Brotherhood can suck it. I don't know those people. I woke up a couple weeks ago. I don't give a shit about this place. This isn't my home. My home got blown up and is buried in Vault 111, unfortunately.
Especially with how much Fallout Prime is sort of like exploring a lot of the pre-war world. Do you think that if the introductory segment of Fallout 4, specifically before we, run off to the vault and everything, which I think like on its own is probably like top 10, if not like top 50 game intros. Cause like
you actually get to see it.
Yeah. You get to see it. You get to experience it. You get to live it as somebody going through that event and then being shot forward in time. Like, and the fact that it doesn't like counter to the question I'm about to ask, the fact that it doesn't like drag on super long and like really gets to the point, makes it more impactful, like how quickly everything changes. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that more so than anything else is probably like a bigger element of the overall story that Bethesda was trying to tell with Fallout 4, how quickly things change and how you adapt to that change. But as it pertains to the relationships between the sole survivor, Nate or Nora, and Sean, and by extension, the rest of the Wasteland, and then even by further extension, the relationship between that and the pre-war world, do you think that the sort of relationship established between the whole family dynamic would have been stronger on the player's end? Do you think that the player would have been able to, connect more or develop that connection with Sean, and then later on, ask themselves bigger questions if we had spent more time in the pre-war world, maybe doing simple things like around the house,
or even doing flashbacks? There could have been some flashbacks.
Yeah. But stuff like that, that sort of puts us in that moment that allows us to interact with Sean more. Because I think that the easy thing for most players when they get out of Vault 111, they're all like, I'm here. I've spent exactly 5 minutes with, my wife and this kid. And while the characters may care about them, I have yet to be given a reason to actually, be invested in them. So I'm just going to fuck off and, build stuff with fucking with Sturgis and plant potatoes with Mama Murphy while Marcy Long is very mean to me for no reason.
It's a butch. And fuck her son. Is that her son or her brother? I can't remember.
Brother.
Brother. Fuck her brother.
Oh no, sorry.
He always crying and shit.
Husband. They had a kid together. That was what it was.
Ew. They fucking yucky. They're a horrible couple, dude.
Right,
oh my god, that pisses me off. Damn it, dude. I'm gonna have to kill them, bro.
Well, that was a part of their story. Like their story actually sort of mimics you, because they also had a son who like actually, well, ironically, also passed away. So their story kind of mimics ours in a way, which is an interesting thing in and of itself. But again, I don't
fuck with them long enough to find that out.
Yeah.
I cannot stand him.
He had a name.
Dude.
His name was Kyle.
Fuck Kyle.
Fuck Kyle. But yeah, so to the question though, do you think that the player base would have been able to form a better connection with the family, with Nate, with Nora, with Sean, if we had spent longer in the pre-war world with them, and then later on in the story it's more impactful? Or do you think that would have made that, again, really excellent introductory sequence a lot less impactful for the rest of the story? What's the balance that you think that Bethesda
might have been able to find there?
I think it probably would have to be a complete rework of how the game unravels, because I feel like it's very fast whenever it does start unraveling after you get to Kellogg, right?
Mhm.
I say, rather than having you kill Kellogg and then go through the brain hunt, you kill Kellogg and you find that 10-year-old boy. You find him. Synth Sean. You take him back. You're like, hey, we're going to try to build a life here. This is us now. He tags along. Make you have a Joel and Ellie kind of situation. Have those moments where as you're traveling with him, make him not useless. Make him like a McCready. You know, oh, he's good with a gun. He's, you know, you have those moments where you're like, okay, I'm going to show you how to shoot. And they're like, please shoot the 5 bottles ahead. And then, okay, I'm going to try my best. And then you unlock a perk like father, like son.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, what, or mama's boy for Nora, you know, like whatever. Have this character act as a companion. If you don't want him to bring along, you leave him right back at home. You don't develop that relationship. You don't have those moments of depth if you don't want them. But while you're hanging out with him, you can have those moments like, hey, what was mom like? Oh, she was like this, and this was like this, or whatever. Or, or I'm having nightmares, Dad. Can you help me? Yeah. You know, this reminds me a lot like the time whenever me and your mom had to sit with you for this long, you know, night because you were colic. You were a colic baby. You know, you're explaining stories to your kid, telling stories about your wife or husband that they missed out on, things that you didn't get to tell them, and you get to take those moments of, I really miss Nora. Man, Nora, I wish, you know, your mom would know what to say in this situation. She would be the perfect person for this. You know, she was always great at arguing. You know, that she was a lawyer. She was a wonderful lawyer. Or your dad, he was a fighter. He was the one that knew how to handle this kind of situation. And then, boom, one night, your son's been kidnapped. Fuck, not again. And then you go on a hunt, and then you find a courser. He goes, hey, your kid is here. I'm told to bring you to him. You get teleported. Boom. You don't even build the teleporter your damn self. They teleport you with the courser. Then you see your son in a cage, and then you see the old man. He just spent the past however long it took for you to find him, watching all the videos back, the conversations, learning about you, learning about mom. And then at that moment, that's whenever you find out, unfortunately, he was just a synth. That time you spent with him. So then you're feeling even more inclined because that 10-year-old kid, I spent a lot of time with that 10-year-old kid. There's been a lot of good moments, like because the Nick Valentine dialogue, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
It's some of the best stuff in Fallout 4.
It's amazing.
And you could have had those connections with Synth Sean. And then as you're talking to this robotic, now you have more reason to be pissed because like I thought that was you and you just took my kid away from me again and it was you. But this is the real you, and then now you're at a moment of torn. Do I keep the old version or do I accept the new one? I was fighting for the Brotherhood, thinking that the synths were bad, and now my son is a synth. I just spent all this time with him. There's so much more depth that could have had that kind of interaction. I know Kellogg was a very interesting character. He only served one purpose. He was a mercenary.
Yeah.
He served one purpose. He was a mercenary. He wasn't your main bad guy. He wasn't your big bad guy. He was just a guy who got paid to do a job. And he did it. So I don't think padding out the intro to have you have those moments would have been the way to go. I think there were ways you could have had those moments before the war show up more often. Because we essentially we're playing as a pre-war goal without the goalification.
Yeah.
You know? If we could have had more opportunities to talk to Piper about life before the war. Or even Kate. She's got all these drug issues. What was it like before the war? I'm having a hard time relating because I'm not from the wasteland, but this is kind of like how it was in Detroit or whatever. Like no shade at Detroit, but fucking druggies, right? I feel like if there had been more opportunities to flesh out on pre-war stuff, one, we could have gotten more pre-war lore out of our character. We really could have. And we would have gotten it from his perspective or her perspective, But we don't get that. All that stuff could have been handled through expanded dialogue a lot better, in my opinion.
Yeah. Because as you were like theory crafting to like you're spinning your story and stuff, funnily enough, I was thinking like I came to the same sort of idea to where it's like, oh, you get Sean and then you're hanging out with him and stuff, but where my deviation sort of split, and I think yours might have actually been the better one, is that Sean, the 10-year-old Sean, is actually killed, and then because people who are a lot, because in Fallout 4, in the story, the original story, we're not actually properly introduced to the actual concept that is the Institute until we start digging around in Kellogg's brain. We're told a little bit about them, that they might exist and that synths and stuff like that, like they're out there and stuff like that, but we don't ever like really engage with that if we just stick to the main story. If you go off and help dance, then obviously you run into synths and then it's a little bit different. But along the main story itself, if you stick to it, we don't ever interact with the Institute as a concept until we get to Kellogg. And in this story, this storyline, which again is very similar to yours, all that same stuff happens. We actually build and develop a relationship with 10-year-old Sean, which, to your point, yes, I think would actually probably be a much better way to actually build this connection with Sean. But then in my deviation, Sean is killed, and because we already know people around our sphere who have experience with sins, and if you join up with a faction or whatever at that point, be it the Railroad or the Brotherhood or the Minutemen or whoever, it could be like somebody in the faction is able to figure like, hey, we actually found the synth component, and then you're all like, what does that mean? And that's when like the ball drops. This wasn't your son. This was a machine. And then you have incentive to like, now I want answers. And that's when you go in and you get into the Institute and you bust in.
You'd be way more driven to kill father at that point too. Yeah. I feel like.
Yeah, but I think the drive continues, but I think yours is superior because then, as you said, it does create that that like that to get back into the comedy a little bit. Which one do I shoot? But which one's the real one? Like like that's to the argument. Like that's where it then becomes like, which one is the real Sean? The one that I was, the one that is like actual bloodline, or the one that I've developed this like with. Yeah. and I think that again, that creates a lot stronger connection and works towards building that actual relationship between Sean and the player, not Nate, but the player, because now we're actively thinking about our relationship with Sean directly, as opposed to just like, this is my kid, I gotta, be there for them and stuff, which is important. But from a player perspective, there needs to be a little bit more incentive for them specifically, not just the character.
Yeah. Also, I was like, oh, because like mechanically, what could Sean do that you just couldn't? Like, have him be able to be like dog meat a little bit. Oh, he can search in certain areas that only a kid could fit. Oh, you're not able to unlock a door, but there's another way he could get in there. You just, because we see that I think in Fallout 76, we have to get a kid to go through some air vents to unlock shit for us, if I remember right.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, like that stuff.
That was the heist thing. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, you could totally play into that. Have a little Joel and Ellie situation going on. Sure, it's like one big, but don't make them useless. Make them like McCready. Give them some fight.
Yeah. And there could be like an additional layer to it, like maybe 10-year-old Sean wasn't killed by accident. Maybe he was killed intentionally by father, and then that just creates another layer, which I don't know if that actually has a lot of like leeway. I don't know if there's a lot of gas in that, but like it again just builds on this whole like complex relationship thing, and then you're having a conversation like nature versus nurture when it comes to parenting, which is always an interesting conversation.
And I think it also cracks open a whole thing with Kellogg. It would be assumed that Kellogg was his caretaker,
which is sort of already implied in the main game.
So whenever you end up killing Kellogg and then your kid finds out you killed him, you asshole, blah blah blah, like, and it's like he starts trying to shoot at you but keeps missing or something. Yeah. So like he'd have the aggression that Kellogg had. Like it would be there, and we already know Kellogg had issues with he had issues with his own family. Like all this stuff kind of feeds into different aspects of Fallout 4. We have, oh, my kid is a synth. Paladin dances synth reveal. Spoiler alert. We have
amazing twist, by the way. Like absolute cinema.
It touches on what makes a human, right? And we realize it's the relationships that you build with each other that makes it humanity. And because even Codsworth, to a degree, you can build that relationship with him. It's just he doesn't have human skin. He's not in a human casing.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know. I feel like that feeds into each other a lot, and it gets very Westworld very fast. But I don't know. There's a that would be Naiwal's director cut of Fallout 4.
Right. the definitive edition.
Yes.
To sort of branch out beyond just Fallout 4, because I think we pretty much wrote the book on that. We Todd, give us a call. We'll help you with Fallout 5. We'll make it amazing.
Family situation in Fallout 5. Let us
know. When it comes to, because we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, and you seemed eager to talk about it. One of the perhaps not an intentional focus or anything, but one of the elements of the Americana that is used in Fallout, not a design function from Bethesda or anything, but just the style itself, Americana, leans heavily into sort of a little bit of like the retrofuturism of like, the 1940s and the 1950s, Cold War scare, the nuclear family, stuff like that. But in a lot of its, again, maybe not intentional, in a lot of its essence, it is very sort of like white Christian American coded, right? Which I think when it comes to Fallout specifically sort of enhances some of the storytelling that it explores a little bit. But in like a core of its core, there is still that little like preferred citizen sort of methodology. I think that Bethesda and Obsidian do a good job of exploring some of the more diverse communities. Fallout, which one was it? Honest Hearts, I think, did a really good job at both portraying and also creating the story of like the native tribes and stuff like that, and talking a lot about their place in the world and stuff. As a person of color, when you're interacting with Fallout, with the Fallout community, with the larger gaming ecosystem as a whole, there are sort of those segments that do. I'm trying to figure out how to word this correctly, and I'm failing at it, obviously. There are those sort of like remnants and like undertows of a more like white dominated population, which in America specifically is it is like, white people. Actually, maybe that changed. I can't remember if white people are the dominant ethnic group anymore, or if it's changed a little bit. But for a long time, both, like, all segments have been very, like, video games, white boys. We want to pitch these to boys, and like most are white and stuff. But as a person of color with Fallout specifically, and then the wider gaming community, are there things that you see as done more positively to give proper respects to different diverse communities? And what do you see as, like, maybe not intentionalities, but like shortcomings, or like, like norms that don't feel as 2025, right? As modern, feel a bit more old world that we, just haven't like moved fully past yet.
Haven't figured out how to work with. See, so I'll talk on the positive aspect of it, and this kind of goes across the board for Bethesda games. Now, to be clear, like with Elder Scrolls, favorite aspect of that game is just how realistic the racism is. It's insane. But there is a thing with Bethesda games. Yeah.
It is sort of based off of like, Dungeons and Dragons, and like 40% of Dungeons and Dragons is just casual racism.
Casual racism. Like, I love walking around Whiterun and be like, "What do you need, cat?" And I'm like, "Hey."
Like, wait a minute.
And also, I just gotta say, I think Nords have an absolute infatuation with Redguards because, like, they have curved swords. Curved swords. I'm like, hell yeah. Mine curves to the left. But no, like, I think because Stanley. And no, this has nothing to do with Bethesda, but it will lead into what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Stan Lee, when creating the X-Men, this was during civil rights movement. And to get an audience to understand what it is mean to be biased or hateful towards a certain type of person is he created the X-Men, these mutants who had powers, and they couldn't integrate with regular society because humans were afraid of them. With Malcolm X representing Magneto and Martin Luther King representing Professor X. These two radical believers in an ideal that people should be treated fairly. The mutants should be treated fairly as humans, and the way he conveyed that message, and it gives perspective, because sometimes people cannot empathize with that because they don't interact with those problems. They don't realize that someone is being turned away from a job purely based off of looks. They don't realize that someone just got fired because they stopped doing DEI stuff, and now they're going to have to go figure out what to do just because. Oh, I didn't realize you only hired me because I was black, or something like that. They don't. These are situations that a huge majority of a population can't understand unless they are a person of color or a marginalized person. Now, to bring that over to like the Fallout side of it, the ghouls and the synths are a perfect example of that. Ghouls are constantly treated like they're less than just because their skin has fallen off and they don't look like everyone else. And then they have to take it in stride. They make jokes at themselves. Raul constantly making jokes at his own expense. Like, oh yeah, I'm old, I'm a ghoul, I'm this, I'm that, and we're laughing at him. We're like, haha, it's very funny. But in that setting, ghouls are treated awful. And then in the Commonwealth, ghouls are treated awful with the with the synths. There's and there's always kind of like that stipulation in the real world where, well, your racism isn't the same kind of racism I'm gonna have to deal with. But the synths are gonna be like, well, you can at least be in Good Neighbor. If I try to go to Good Neighbor and people know I'm a synth, I'm gonna get shot. It's like, okay, to be fair, you're right. But neither one of us are allowed in Diamond City. And like, oh, yeah, you're absolutely right there. So it's a way to present problems. It follows the theme of war never changes. And I think a lot of games also tackle this pretty well. Like if they were trying to show, oh, this person's treated badly because they have powers, or your character is has been banished because I think what is it? Horizon is an example of that, where your character is not allowed in these tribes because whatever reason, right? And you have to play through the perspective of someone who is outcast and not allowed. And I think those outcast stories help people understand that. Now, does everyone always take that and go, I remember how it was like in this game for that character? I can kind of wrap my head around what they're going through. I'll never fully be able to grasp it. I think it helps some people achieve that. Now, there's some people who refuse to acknowledge. They always call it's political. This is political. It's like, no, this is a human experience. Unfortunately, this is a human experience. Has nothing to do with politics. Some people are just treated unfairly. Period. And that's nothing anyone can really do about it, because at this point it's unfortunately the world is so hateful towards each other. We cannot unify to help each other out. That until we can finally do that, then it'll be easier for people to recognize injustices like that. But what with these people who go, well, you're making it political and it's not like that. The whole point for Fallout is war never changes. Stories have always been written to reflect the times. That's just how they've always been. To Kill a Mockingbird would have been considered political at the time, but now we treat that as just an American literature thing. That is American history. To Kill a Mockingbird is that important. And unfortunately, because there's people who are uncomfortable with it, which the goal is never to make people uncomfortable, but to understand and to sympathize so that these things stop happening. So in video games, when they make this approach and you're going, it's not political, when you experience that and you can start to sympathize for these characters for being treated so badly, you are fully capable of taking that sympathetic energy for someone who's not real and sharing it with someone who is suffering through injustices, whatever they may be. You may even be someone who is getting treated badly. And because I was raised 20 years white. Okay, the white half of my family raised me, and I didn't fully see my skin tone as an issue. I didn't understand it at all because I was like, oh, all my friends are white, this, that, and the other. But I was so blinded by like, oh, well, that's just how it is. I was the butt of jokes. People would catch me like, oh, well, Naiwal, that's because you're black. That's why you like chicken. Or, just stupid stuff like that. And I would laugh with them. You just don't realize it because of the people that you're around. But whenever you're finally around, because I finally got around my dad, who he's black, and being around my black side of the family, I started realizing, oh, no, I was the butt of a joke. They weren't laughing with me. They were laughing at me. I realized that, just various other things. And I feel like, there are people who are way darker than me that have dealt with way worse. And to be able to finally take a step back from that and be able to notice it is a very powerful tool that I feel like is, not to get spiritual, but it's a very, that is the golden rule. That is what Jesus said. He said, do unto others as you would wish done unto you. And in order for you to start to grasp that, you have to begin to sympathize. And I think video games are a great way into opening that kind of thing. Now, whereas I feel like games are they're still not figuring out how to do it. Do I think you have to get rid of all the racism from the Elder Scrolls? Hell no. Hell no. Please
make it
keep
boring.
It in. Yeah, that makes it boring. Okay, history is a thing. Keep it in. That's absolutely fine. Do I think you need to? Do I need to make sure you need to make sure? Oh, these video games need to have 1,000,001 different black haircuts. No, but golly, what holds us back a lot of time is like, why do we only have 3?
Yeah.
That fucking sucks. All right. I have curly hair in a ponytail, and I could never get that in a video game. I either have to choose the ponytail or the dreadlocks. I'm like, that sucks. That's not what I look like.
Right.
I'm trying to make my character in this. And like Bethesda, I make jokes about it all the time on stream. Todd Howard doesn't like red guards because if you look at the development team in Starfield, there's not a brother or sister in sight. And for some reason, everyone in New Atlantis is black. And I'm like, y'all ain't got a single black person on y'all's team. How are y'all doing? Okay, whatever. All right.
Oh, no.
But I feel like I'm like, if you want to add that those diversity stories in your games, hire some goddamn diversity. Right. Help yourself out. Stop pulling from, because unfortunately these stories get recycled a lot, and unfortunately it's because the issues are recycled because we keep going through the same shit over and over again. We're stagnant, and it sucks. But give me someone who has experience what it's like to be trans, or experience what it's like to be black or Hispanic or Asian or whatever. And if there's a quest that requires you to understand a character who's currently being treated badly, get their insight. You don't even have to put them on the writing team. They could just be on the art team. Be like, hey, how do you feel about this? I think it was good. Cool. Hell yeah. Would you change anything about it? Why do they have braids? That's so weird. This person did not have braids. Let them have long curly hair. All right, bet. Thanks.
Yeah.
I don't know. And there's a thought that, I hear people go, I hope we go to New Orleans and fall. I'm like, if they ain't got a single black person on their team, we better never go to New Orleans.
Yeah. Or at least like people, people who can think or like create along the same lines as like the lead.
For real.
Yeah. Like the guy who did what was it? Oh my God. I'm blanking so hard. What was that game that came out? South of Midnight.
South of Midnight. Yep.
Yeah. And especially as somebody who I try so hard not to keep up with the anti-woke stuff because it's such brain rot and it pisses me off so much. But like, I remember when they were like, oh my God, South of Midnight. It's such like a DEI game. It's made by, like woke activists and stuff like that. And then the lead developer, the lead writer comes out and like, hi, I'm like the whitest dude you've ever known. And I've made I don't want to say this as a definitive, you could probably put weight onto it, but like I've made probably like one of the most like representative and inclusive games of like that experience in that region of the country. Because I like listen to people.
Yeah, it's fully possible too, and exactly. You don't have to hire black people on your team just to get a black game out there. But it's like, man, value the insight, value the input. You know, if you're gonna make a Cajun story south of midnight, pull from some black folk who understand what it's like to live in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like living in Katrina as a black person? Oh, it was fucking awful. You know, like
terrible. Fucking it. Yeah. It just feels like it. What you remember? You watch Family Guy, right? Or have in the past?
Mm-hmm.
You watched American Dad.
Yes.
You watched
the
Cleveland Show.
Yeah, American Dad is the black Family Guy, not the Cleveland Show.
Yeah,
because Steve.
Like that's crazy. That's crazy. But then like it just fucking like comes out in the writing. The one that still always fucking gets me. I don't know. I don't know the exact context, but I think they're at like a buffet or something. And then like fucking Steve gets up because he's like gonna go get food or whatever, and Stan just like grabs him by the shoulder, sits him back down. He's like, "Sit your ass down." And I'm like, "Oh my god, it's so good." Yeah. It's the little things, and it's the inclusion, and the like shaping of the story or the dialogue to sort of like, you know, weave in and out of these identities and these stories that can represent different identities. Because like what was his name? Because you were talking about like, you know, like, oh, like, you know, like trans people's perspectives on like, you know, this character that you're designing for the story and stuff like that. Burke in Fallout 76, they're a raider who's a part of the you know, the Crater Gang, and they can help you out if you side with if you try to break into the vault that has all the gold in it. If you try to break into it with the raiders, you get to interact with their character, and they talk a lot about, you know, like not feeling right in their like identity with like who they are, and we're always sort of like funnily enough, like you were talking about, like they were the butt of jokes and stuff like that. And they in like introspection and, you know, coming into their own personality and their own identity, and then later having that like validated by people who are empathetic, and can, you know, maybe not exactly put themselves in the same shoes, but can understand that you're going through something, that you're still trying to figure it out. Being able to like create a character like that, not exactly like that, but a character in that same vein that you're able to use design in such a way to where it's reflective of somebody's struggle. That shows, one, not only good writing skills, but then also is just an incredible thing for anybody who might also be going through that same sort of, you know, I don't want to say identity crisis, but that identity evolution or identity discovery journey. It just makes it all the more. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's wild how media can sometimes reflect the real world.
Yeah. I think my most hated phrase has always been, "It's not that deep." Because it's like, okay, yeah, Lion King is not that deep. You're absolutely right.
It's just a banana duct taped on the wall. It's not that deep. Shut up.
But what makes being human so interesting is because we can analyze things so much and find meaning in simple things. You know, I don't know. It's a wonderful thing, and I feel like more people should take appreciation in that.
Yeah.
I did, you know, to kind of hop on it just a little bit more. Aaron Moten. I got to talk with Aaron Moten before season 1 aired, and me and him were chatting. We chatted for like a solid 30 minutes. But I was just like, I told him, I said, hey, I think what you're doing, I said, especially in the Fallout fandom, you being a black guy as a lead character is huge, dude.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he said, yeah, he's like, the Fallout fans could be a little weird. I don't know. I was seeing some crazy comments. I said, dude, weird. The thing. I said, what's so crazy? I said, there's a huge amount of black Fallout fans.
Mm-hmm.
They are there. I said, but the only time a black character is ever represented in these games or whatever, they're just side characters. You got Preston Garvey. Now, to be fair, they're usually cool as fuck. Mm-hmm. Preston Garvey, he's a great guy. If I was going to have a ride or die friend, it'd be Preston Garvey. Three Dog, coolest character ever.
Yeah, hands down.
Even that weird sick motherfucker in Fallout 3, Eulogy Jones, is cool as shit. He's a fucking pimp, and I'm not gonna lie to you. All right, but
he's sly. He's pretty slick.
He's slick. He's a bad fucking guy, but he's slick.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just like, and even with the Elder Scrolls, Nazir. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Boris, Owen in the arena. There's like they're all what provides the spice and flavor to the games is usually the black characters. I'm gonna just be honest with you, okay? I'm gonna just be honest with you. And so whenever I talked to him about it, he was just like, you know, I feel like it meant a lot to him because he was explained to me that he was very grateful, and then the next day actually sought me out and he autographed my Pip-Boy.
Nice.
Yay.
That's fucking badass.
He did. So, but so it's just like, even in that regard with the TV show, it's just like, it's a simple thing, you know. Aaron Moten is playing Maximus, but when you see Fallout, you're now, a lot of people who don't know the games are seeing the TV show, and they're associating it with the guy with no skin, the girl with the big eyes, and the black dude in armor.
It's kind of
very simple.
Yeah, it's straightforward. It's key traits, key identifying traits.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's usually how it goes. The guy with no skin, girl with big eyes. Shout out Ella Purnell.
Right,
but I don't know if she needs a shout out. She's in everything. But
yeah, her and Walter Goggins just in everything.
Yeah. Yellow Jackets.
Yeah. That actually segues into the next thing I wanted to ask you about. We're in a really interesting position as Fallout fans, because while, you know, we got Fallout 5 there on like a shimmer in the distant horizon,
mm-hmm.
we still have so many fronts, right? So we have as far as like, you know, like what's the next evolution of this story, right? Obviously we have Fallout 5, that's like the main front, but then we also have Fallout 76 with, like, you know, how that's going to evolve.
Constant updates, yeah.
Yeah, Burning Springs was announced, like, what was it, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago at this point? So very recently. And that's adding probably like the second biggest expansion. I'm looking up at a
Wastelanders, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like landmass. Like,
yeah, landmass actually expanding on it.
Yeah. But like in terms of like you know, explorable area, because I think the only thing that would probably be bigger is the Divide, which is pretty big, but it's just like one big long line. So it's like, you know, but
that's one long line.
It's one long line. Not only is it just like a huge expanse, but it's also a new state. We're going to fucking Ohio, the place that they say couldn't be done. But they did it.
They couldn't do it.
Unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna go to the merry-go-round museum, which kind of bums me out. But that's that. That's another.
That's funny.
That's a real thing too.
I did not know about that. I might have to check that out. That's crazy.
I think it's like much farther north, like closer to like Minnesota or something like that. But like that would have been a funny location, especially for Fallout. Can you imagine you go into the merry-go-round museum and it's just like a bunch of different kinds of just like old, creepy, dilapidated merry-go-rounds?
Some really solid events at the merry-go-round museum.
That'd be crazy. But so like that's another front, Fallout 76, and like where that's going to expand and what sort of, new stories they're going to introduce, new like tidbits of lore. Cause like we've been to New Jersey with Atlantic City. Now we're going to Ohio. We've been to the Pit. We've been like so many different places. And then the other front is technically the final third front. You could make the argument that there's a front with like, Fallout Shelter and like bringing Fallout Shelter online to English territories, which like, God damn it, Todd, if you're somehow listening to this, I want Fallout Shelter online.
I'm on, dude.
I want it. But like, that's that game's not canon. So like it, it is what it is. But as far as like canon fronts, then we also have the TV show, which from what I've heard rumors of could be going like 5, 6, 7, maybe even more seasons. I think
he's 90.
Yeah. 90 seasons. It's gonna outlive like fucking South Park and The Simpsons, like handedly. They're not gonna make games anymore. They're just gonna make the TV show.
Only shows and merch, god damn it.
Right?
Keep it coming.
But we have those three major fronts. From your perspective, and maybe this is sort of like a fusion of like the last couple of things that we were talking about, like the perspective on story, perspective on like, representation and stuff like that. On these like three major fronts, either like grouped together as like a singular thing or like tackling each one individually, what would you like to see Fallout sort of advance in, whether that be like the lore, the gameplay, the kinds of stories that they tell, the way that they tell stories? How would you like to, or how do you theorize these three fronts expanding as we get closer to, Fallout 5, more seasons of Fallout Prime, Fallout 76 2. That was a joke.
I know, we should have one.
Right.
We need one.
It's not even going to be Fallout 77. It's just going to be Fallout 76 2. And everyone's going to be like, they did it.
That'd be wild as shit.
Right. But yeah, how do you see these fronts expanding, or how would you like these fronts to expand?
So to start, I think the last game Todd Howard is actually going to be a part of is probably the Elder Scrolls 6. I think he's going to retire soon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's face it. He might not, though, because of all the TV show stuff. The TV show stuff might actually keep him around a little longer. But at least from being like creative lead in the games, I think that's probably about to be a wrap after Elder Scrolls 6, because it started with Elder Scrolls for him. I think it's probably going to end on Elder Scrolls for him. And that being said, I feel like we shouldn't be afraid of more of mainline games. Why should we? If we've loaned the IP out to Obsidian once upon a time, let's loan it out again to some other companies. Let's get a third person Fallout game that isn't mainline. Give us one where you're a slave in an arena and it's just a whole bunch of fucking fighting. Give us that like blood and gore version of Fallout. You're in the pit. You're traveling around. You're trying to fight for your freedom. If you don't do certain things, your collar explodes. That could be just a purely multiplayer game. Who cares? I don't know. Expand out on it. Run with that. Let's do a Fallout MMO. Why not? I don't know what the hell's going on down in Mexico. Put us in Mexico. The MMO could be in Mexico. Let's have fun there.
We could do the fan favorite. Take everybody to what was the city that's the motor city? Is that Chicago or
Detroit?
No, Detroit.
It's Detroit.
Yeah. Let's go to Detroit, but it's just Fallout Kart.
A racing Fallout game, I feel like makes sense actually.
Right.
That is what is it? Twisted Metal.
Yep. Twisted Metal, but it's Fallout coded.
Why not, man? It's like you can do all of that. You could expand on the lore of it. Stop waiting for mainline stuff. We don't need everything to have a mainline version just to be able to get more Fallout. I feel like that's more of a hindrance. With the TV show being as successful it is, why not get Telltale Games? Make a Fallout Telltale game. Why not?
That'd be cool.
Yeah, loan the IP out more. You're going to get your money. There's going to be more Fallout in the world. Is every game going to do well? No. And then you could choose what is and isn't canon after. All right? Like, people shit on Fallout Brotherhood of Steel for good reasons. Mm-hmm. Great reasons. But it was branching out. They didn't call it Fallout 3. They didn't call it Van Buren. The mainline games is where you can clear any lore discrepancies. I don't know. I think the way to progress is to not be afraid so much of, because I mean you have a show that's open to the general audience. I mean, why not? You could have a Pokemon style Fallout game if you wanted. There's so many different creatures. You could why not do a zoo tycoon Fallout game? Oh, this is the Deathclaw exhibit. This is the mole rats. This is all this. Oh, we captured some aliens. Oh, this is a Mirelurk exhibit. Fuck it.
This is where we keep the slaves.
Yeah, this is where we keep the slaves.
They need to be fed the least.
Mm-hmm. Give us a Red Dead Redemption Fallout game set in Texas. Let's go back to Texas.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
Instead of Giddy Up Buttercup, it's Buckle Up Bronco.
Right.
There you go.
That's the one that was marketed towards the boys.
Oh, well, I don't know. Since this is my first time like really talking about this stuff, I have my own TTRPG setting set in Texas. Fallout Lone Star. Buckle Up Broncos are a huge thing in Texas because I was like, well, let's 10x Texas. What is that? That's rodeos, baby. So the Buckle Up Broncos are big from the rodeo. I have it to where the Brotherhood of Steel thing kind of happens in Texas, but it's like the Brotherhood of Steel, they were trying to transport a big ass railway rifle. And they saw that the people in Texas were actually being hounded by raiders, a bunch of raider gangs, who all claim that their leader is Billy the Kid. And the Brotherhood of Steel, they're like, fuck, I feel bad for these people. And some of them stayed behind and they call themselves the Lone Star Rangers. And the thought is that the party will be helping the Lone Star Rangers to stop Billy the Kid. And then along the way, finding out that, all the stuff they're doing, they turn out to be Billy the Kid. It's like, oh, okay.
That's cool.
Yeah, I have a whole thing for the Alamo. The Alamo is actually now a giant storehouse for weapons where robots reenact the Alamo fight every once in a while. And the various gangs are the Texas Tech Raiders, the Longhorns, the Houston Texans, like just based off the different teams that are just based in Texas, So, but anyway, that being said, give us a Red Dead Redemption. I will even sell you the Buckle Up Bronco rights as well.
Hell yeah. That's what you like. And for as far as like what you could what you, because obviously I think probably the best idea for would be to just make more games, even if they're kind of like wacky.
Yeah.
Because Fallout does kind of lend itself very strongly to those sort of more like humorous elements.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the stories and stuff, like where would you like to see these stories evolve into?
I like I don't know. I feel Max has a good saying, like everyone wants to save the world. We just can't agree on how to do it, right? And the mantra of war never changes. Man, I feel like we kind of we've explored the family stuff a lot. We've explored the power battle in Vegas. Sometimes like not everything has to be world ending. You can have small scale stories. You can be like, oh, maybe we do have to deal with these gangs. Maybe I'm from a local village and you are taking out a whole bunch of gang leaders and you're liberating areas from gangs. And, not to sound too much like Saints Row, but, like those, or even having to topple over a dictator. I don't know why we haven't ever had to topple over a leader in a Fallout game.
Yeah,
I feel like that makes sense. Be like, oh, we can't do shit because this guy who's running stuff in this part of our wasteland is unfortunately way too charismatic and has way too much power. Have us deal with a Fallout main character.
Yeah. I guess we kind of did that in the pit, but that's not like a mainline story.
Yeah.
I mean, it is mainline story, but it's not like, the primary reason
Premise.
for the
Yeah.
game story. That is an interesting point though. We've never had to topple a dictator or an unfair or unjust leader.
Because I'm like, you could start us off in what essentially is a utopia in the wasteland, but unfortunately, you're at the bottom of the bottom, and it's not a utopia for you, and you're just like clawing your way up. And then you could be presented with the opportunity to just seize that power for your damn self. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of depth you could do with that. I feel like in order to work your way up the ranks, you have to have influence and help these other people around this paradise. And at this point, you've made so many different connections. Whenever you make it to the top, you could damn well just seize power for yourself.
What's something hopeful that you look forward to with the as far as it relates to like, the community or like, the larger like Bethesda ecosystem or like gaming in general? What's something that you're like looking forward to or like hopeful for?
In the larger scheme, I guess I'm hopeful for. Man, I don't. Obviously, I don't like gatekeepers. There's a lot of people who go, "Man, these games are so niche," and now it's open to tourists. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for more tourists. I feel like communities thrive whenever there's more people getting involved. Like those moments where people are sharing their art over just their own character concepts. Like Baldur's Gate community is so like cool about their art. I'm hopeful to see more of that stuff. I'm hopeful to see more community moments with Bethesda. They're kind of branching out with like Fallout Day and Fallout for Hope, kind of collaborating there. But I'd like to see, oh, hey, we're facilitating Good Springs. Let's facilitate Foss Night. Let's do stuff in Point Pleasant, like where there's there's a Fallout booth for these areas that Fallout exists in the game because people go on tours. And I seen a video where someone was playing Fallout 3 in Washington D.C. in front of the Washington Monument.
Nice.
It's just like I think I'm hopeful for that now that it's becoming more of a broadened topic, that like it becomes very pop culture. I know people don't like that, and I know probably people don't want to hear me say that, but that's how an IP thrives. That's how we got Star Wars all the way up to the point where it is because it was so ingrained in pop culture. Star Trek, same thing. Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. I'm hopeful that with a successful show, we can see movies where people are waiting for midnight releases for. We can see people more, instead of having to fish out like what is it, background actors, like we could actually start seeing some fans make it into stuff like that. It's just like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of good that can come out of it being more popular or more mainstream. I'm so anti-hipster. I'm so opposed to keeping things niche or whatever. Not necessarily because my job is a content creator who relies on Fallout skits, and the more people who watch my skits, the better. But
Unrelated.
completely unrelated. There's more people who like find out for the first time, I didn't know Jet was cow poop. Like, yeah, welcome to the fandom. This is a brand new thing for you. There's a lot of people who already knew that. And, people are discovering that stuff every day. I feel like discovery is a thing that a human mind needs, and if it's about something silly like Fallout, I mean, that's a good thing. So
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Naiwal, sketch-based comedy creator within the Fallout fandom. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow to be notified of future episodes, and consider subscribing to our Patreon for early access to new uploads, to help keep episodes ad-free, and to improve the quality and frequency of transmission. Until next time, dear listeners, I thank you for tuning in, and I will see you all out there in the wasteland.